There, our top story this half an hour, countdown to the midterm elections, now 15 days away. President Trump and former President Obama squaring off in dueling campaign rallies today, just 2 weeks ahead of the November contentious election. President Trump will hit the campaign trail in Houston in support of Ted Cruz, while former President Obama will touch down in Las Vegas and campaign there. Enthusiasm for President Trump is high. Lines of supporters are already covering entire blocks as nearly 100,000 people wait to enter a venue that can hold 18,000. 18,000 is what the capacity is. Yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures, I spoke with South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham to get his take on the most important issues on the ballot this November. President Trump has handpicked Senator Graham to go out and campaign for his colleagues. Listen to this.
I think people are going to be voting on the mob rule of the Democratic Party. If you elect Democrats to run the House, you know exactly what you're going to get. They're going to try and impeach the president, impeach Kavanaugh. They don't care about your wallet. They just want to get in your wallet. If you keep Republicans in charge, we're going to keep the economy moving forward. We're going to secure our border. We're going to deal with our enemies throughout the world. We're going to rebuild our military. And when it comes to standing up to the world, you need a strong leader like President Trump. And the Democratic Party has showed us what they would do with power. Not much for you.
And the president has asked Lindsey Graham to go on the road. He's going to talk. He's going to be in 13 cities in just a couple of days. Joining us right now is Republican strategist Kimberly Klacik. Kimberly, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for joining us. Your reaction to Senator Graham and what you might expect from him in the next couple of days as he travels to 13 cities to campaign.
I honestly, this new Lindsey Graham that we've been seeing, I expect good things. I mean, he's absolutely right. You know exactly what you're going to get if the Democrats take over the House. They have been so intolerant lately. The mob name actually fits them properly. And I think for a lot of people, we don't really understand whether or not there is a blue wave coming. I'm not convinced. In 2016, everyone that said that Hillary Clinton was going to win, we saw that Trump won, and that's basically because people were afraid to show support for Trump. So I don't think we really know what's going to happen.
The president's new line lately in his campaigns have been Republicans produce jobs, Democrats produce mobs. We saw that mob thinking again this weekend when Mitch McConnell and his wife Elaine Chao were harassed while they were at dinner, Dagan.
Right, and there was a panel on MSNBC that essentially justifies this kind of behavior based on the fact that Merrick Garland didn't get a vote in front of the Senate under Mitch McConnell. That was
so it's justified,
right? That's justified. And the message from the Democrats is, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
If you support Trump, we're going to show up at your place of work, where you eat, where you worship.
So how do you deny that's not the mob?
It is the mob.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a great slogan. President Trump is also really focused on immigration, attention to the border wall. And in fact, I know that Joe Donnelly, who's a Democrat running for re-election in Indiana, has actually been running ads promoting his support of President Trump on immigration, border wall, and the radical left talking about abolishing ICE. So so smart Democrats like Donnelly in Indiana, they know that this is an important issue to America.
Yeah, because and then you've got Kevin McCarthy bringing a bill to the floor right after the midterms, Kimberly, to build the wall, enforce the law act. That's what it's called. And voter interest in this election has surged to record highs in both parties. A new Wall Street Journal NBC News poll finds that nearly 2/3 of registered voters say they are very interested in this year's midterms. That's the highest ever recorded by the survey. President Trump's job approval rating, as we just heard, got a boost. The poll finds that approval rating now at 47%. This is the highest of his time in office, Kimberly, going into these midterm elections. What are your thoughts?
Yes, and it's well-deserved. You see, President Trump, I don't think the Democrats have identified that he's done anything wrong. You have to remember, usually Democrats run on making promises, usually promises they can't keep. And so right now you have a bunch of problems that Trump is solving on his own. People are talking about immigration, and they should, because this is really a threat on our national security. It's not about not wanting people to come in and live for the American dream. So, yes, they are absolutely right about this, and I think that is why there's overwhelming support right now for President Trump, because there's a lot of people on his side here.
Yeah, and you know, Heather, when you look at this picture of this caravan making its way to the United States, it's just perfect timing going into the midterm elections, because it's this reminder that the president is trying to secure the borders and have legal immigration.
The caravan is the single largest one picture argument for a wall that Trump could have ever asked for. And particularly when you see the soldiers in Guatemala or the police there trying to stop it and getting overrun, and the fences getting overrun. What's interesting about the poll that just came out, I've been saying from the beginning that there was not going to be a blue wave, and that the Republicans actually, I will predict, will keep the House.
I agree with you.
And the poll has been interesting in that it's now down to a 9-point Democrat advantage in the generic, but if you look in the battleground states, it is completely even now. I think it is not going to be the blue wave. I think it's going to be a major red wall, and there's going to be more pickups in the Senate as well as holding of the House.
I know I'm talking out both sides of my mouth. One problem, though, in President Trump making immigration a front and center issue, talking about the wall, is the fact that the Republicans in control of the Senate and the House didn't fully fund his wall, and they didn't basically starve the sanctuary cities of money. This is another can that's been kicked down the road until after the midterm. So in some way, he's highlighting what the Republicans haven't gotten done, that they haven't fulfilled his agenda on this.
Exactly.
Yeah,
this has been the biggest problem that Republicans have had to overcome, is their failure to follow through on the things that they promised to do, whether it was health care or taking on sanctuary cities or border wall funding. I think part of the reason that you saw the tremendous lack of enthusiasm among Republican voters until the Kavanaugh hearings was that there was this disjunction, what had been promised versus what had been delivered, in the general sense of, why would I bother voting for you? Kavanaugh made it very clear why you would bother voting for them, because the alternative was so much worse.
Well, now Donald Trump just gave him another reason, and that's tax cut 2.0. So if you think about it, no better way to mobilize people to vote than tell them you're going to do tax cut 2.0 a couple weeks before the election. So I think that timing was perfect, and he's now throwing the Democrats in a tizzy because it's going to make them start talking about taxes, and it's done very well for the Republicans.
And
so
let's not forget, Kimberly, not one Democrat voted for that tax cut plan.
Yeah, that's true. And so how much are they really for the American people? I think right now this is a perfect storm. Like you said, that caravan coming is a perfect storm. We have to remember, do we really want people in our country, is the first thing they do when they get here is break our laws? We are a nation of laws, and we deserve to know who our neighbors are, and we should be vetting legal immigrants. I think, honestly, I don't see the blue wave either.
All right, we will leave it there. Kimberly, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Kimberly Klacik joining us now.